All this week, we've been looking at human behavior, as you may have seen, through all sorts of scientific theories. Neuroscientist David Eagleman helped explore our brain's subconscious as we watch lots of brains at work these days, namely in D.C. Yahoo scientist Duncan Watts cautioning us against using so-called common sense when we're dealing with large, simultaneously occurring complex issues, saying it just doesn't transfer. Well, today we speak with our friend Deepak Chopra to get a spiritual viewpoint on human behavior and its reconciliation with the science of the brain. He is co-author of an upcoming book, War of the Worldviews, Science versus Spirituality. It is set for release this October, and this book was written with a man who is incredibly skeptical of basically the vast majority of what you advocate and represent.
There are two schools right now in science. One is called the reductionist school, which is a completely materialistic interpretation of the world. So your brain secretes your consciousness just like your stomach secretes hydrochloric acid.
So basically whatever's happening in the back of my brain, that's what reality is.
That's what reality is. But we, at the moment, have no idea actually how that happens, or even if that reality is created by the brain, or is the brain the transmitter of another more fundamental reality. Does a brain feel despair or hope or insight or imagination or delight or awe or humility? These are qualities we associate with the spirit. And there's another school of thought that says, you know, if the brain is a totally physical, material structure based on physical laws, Newtonian laws, not quantum laws, then there's no room for free will. There's no room for creativity. You need uncertainty. And, you know, the new physics suggests something called uncertainty at a very fundamental level in nature, which then raises the whole idea of where does creativity come from? Where does choice come from? Where does free will come from? We have not solved that problem. There are arguments on both sides, and what this book is about. Of course, I'm partial to the spiritual side.
The spiritual argument for alignment with modern science is what?
Is that we need to expand our science to include the observer and not merely that which we observe. You know, this is an observer-dependent reality. You and I don't see the same thing, even biologically. Other species, there are, you know, insects that have different kinds of eyes, they see a different world. A bat experiences the echo of ultrasound. There's no such thing as a picture of the world, or a look of the world, or a sound of the world. It depends on who's looking. What is the instrument that's being used for looking? Are you the instrument, or are you the user of the instrument?
And if you look at what they're discovering in the most recent science over the past few decades, and you mentioned this a few seconds ago, it is that on a subatomic level, on a particle level, that what a particle is, what a table is, what a mouse is, what a chair is, on a particle level, is not even defined.
Well, this is a very interesting thing you raised. A particle is a thing. It has units of mass and energy. But if you leave a particle alone, nobody is looking at it, or it's not interacting with other particles, it becomes a wave. And you say, wave of what? Because it has no units of mass or energy. The current prevailing definition of the wave is it's a wave of potentiality. So potentiality of what? Potentiality for the manifestation of a particle. So, you know, you have these different levels: matter, energy, information, and possibility, or potentiality. And that potentiality is what spiritual traditions have called the soul.
And so that potentiality in science with matter, when it's not being observed,
the quantum vacuum.
Right.
The quantum vacuum, from where everything emerges. You know, Stephen Hawking says the universe came out of nothing, will continue to come out of nothing because of a law called gravity. Now, it technically is right, but then why is there a law of gravity? Where are these laws written? How come there are about 20 to 25 constants that are so precise and so fine-tuned that we can have this conversation? There's a universe. Now, the scientists who say this fine-tuning is a fluke, they have to postulate 10 to the power of 500 other universes so that this one could be a fluke and wasn't
So the
designed.
reason, so they say, listen, the only way this can be an accident is if it's in a data set that's
it's in a data
immense.
set, 10 to the power of 500, which is trillions of them, and you'll never know that they exist or not because the laws of nature there are not the ones that would make this human nervous system.
But the most interesting thing to me is that on a scientific level, at the beginning of the scientific universe is a wave of potentiality.
It's
a particle that has not yet manifested, has not yet expressed itself.
No one doubts the fact that the universe began about 13.8 billion years ago. There's a little period after the Big Bang, which is 10 to the power of minus 43 seconds, which is a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a second. We'll never know what happened then because the laws of physics as we know them break down. But then suddenly you have these 25 very precise constants, the speed of light, the ratio of the electromagnetic field to the gravitational field. Were they even a little bit off by a decimal, there would be no universe.
And if you look at
and there are other questions, Dylan. How did DNA come about, etc.?
But so if you look at your teachings, which go to viewing your own world as one of that infinite potential or of that possibility, of that wave, on that level, it would seem that those types of spiritual or religious teachings of infinite possibility or potentiality is in direct alignment with science at the base level of matter.
I believe that. And all
Does your co-author believe that?
No, he doesn't. But there are many other physicists, including people like Sir Roger Penrose, who got the Wolf Prize along with Stephen Hawking. They're completely at odds with each other. Stephen Hawking is of the school of my co-author, and Sir Roger Penrose is of the other school.
And very quickly, why do they disagree?
Well, they have different interpretations of the data. It's not the data that is at odds. The data is there, but there are different interpretations. One believes there's an organizing principle, and the other believes that it's random. And you could even say randomness maybe is the creativity, because without randomness or uncertainty, where would be the creativity? So it's probably all a matter of interpretation.
All right. Well, listen, it is no matter of interpretation. Our pleasure in being able to talk with you on the regular basis that we've been able to. Congratulations to you on the book.
It's been a delight to be with you all.
Well, thank you very much. And fun for you to end our week on the brain, the mind, and everything that is possible. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Deepak Chopra, the book, War of the Worldviews. If you like to argue with Deepak, you're not alone. So too does his co-author. You can read a whole book about that argument.